Given these serious allegations involving sexual misconduct with Matt Gaetz, including sex with someone who's underage, is he qualified to be Attorney General?
Nobody should be disqualified because of a media report.
It's more than it's an investigation. By the department, he wants to leave. Bipartisan ethics investigation.
And they didn't proceed forward.
There goes Lindsey Graham, trying again to find a way to get one step closer to whichever direction Donald Trump is going. But with some new, even more damning details coming out about Matt Gaetz' alleged propensity to have drug-fueled parties around minors, Lindsey might want to wait.
A lot going on just around Matt Gaetz' selection. I know NBC News has learned that a hacker gained access to sealed testimony from two women involved in that House Ethics Committee investigation.
On this issue of this hacker accessing information, it's our understanding, based on a source familiar and an email obtained by NBC News, that in fact somebody went in and essentially downloaded from a secure link a bunch of testimony, a bunch of information, a bunch of documents, including, we understand, the testimony of a 17-year-old. She was 17 at the time in 2017 when she says Matt Gaetz had sex with her at a party in Florida in July, as well as the testimony and information from another person who says that she witnessed this interaction between Gaetz and her friend, the underage sex, essentially. But I want to play for you a little bit of this conversation between Joel Leppard, the attorney, and myself about what his client says she saw.
She was walking outside to the pool, and she observed to her right her friend, who was 17 at the time, having sex with Representative Gaetz. They were leaned up to what she described to as a game table of some type.
Did your client believe that Gaetz at the time knew that her friend was underage?
She testified that her belief was that Representative Gaetz had no knowledge that she was under.
So now that the details are trickling out, despite the efforts of the Speaker of the House, other MAGA representatives are focusing their attention on anyone willing to take this information into account when the confirmation process begins.
And I will say that for the senators that are coming forward and stating that they need to read this testimony, let's look into these people's stocks portfolios and how they're becoming multimillionaires off of $175,000 a year.
Allies like Representative Alina Paulina Luna are willing to burn down the entire Washington corruption apparatus over anyone willing to deny a potential child rapist a role in Trump's administration. It's weird that she thinks it's a flex to protect criminal activity by exposing another form.
I do want to go back to something you said, Congresswoman, because these are Republicans, the Republicans asking for this House ethics report to be released. It's people like Senator John Cornyn of Texas. It'd be hard to describe him as anything but aligned with MAGA. Are you suggesting that there's something in his stock portfolio that's questionable?
I'm suggesting that John Cornyn, to my knowledge, made statements that was actually anti-MAGA about President Trump, and same with the new elected Senate leader. But I will say that Thune has since changed his tune, and it seems like he's more aligned with MAGA and President Trump.
But,
so I will
when
say
they,
that
when they ask for the House
don't
ethics
want to have the
report,
light
do you
shine
think
on
that there's
that.
something corrupt about that? When they're asking for testimony, when they're asking for this report, again, a bipartisan report, do you think there's something unethical about that?
I think that what's unethical about it is that this has been shut down, that they're not requesting reports on other people who are knowingly under investigation currently, and that those people from the get-go have not wanted Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General pick. So in my mind, yes, it's absolutely a smear campaign.
Are we noticing this trend of MAGA subordinates widening their scope of analyzing who's MAGA enough to be trusted with access to the most loyal positions around Trump? It's like they're compiling a list with a moving score to determine the MAGAbility of people in positions of oversight power over the president-elect. Luna has proven her loyalty by completely misrepresenting the investigation altogether.
To furthermore, I find it interesting that these actual allegations come out at peculiar timing while he's being nominated to be the Attorney General. To be clear, I do think Matt Gaetz is going to be an incredible Attorney General. I think this baseless smear campaign, frankly, is abhorrent that it's happening to someone like Matt Gaetz, who's done so much to fight the government corruption.
Number one, the investigation into Gaetz started almost 5 years ago when he was accused of the things we keep seeing get released. So this claim that they're only coming after him because Trump nominated him is way off. She isn't aware of the former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, telling everyone that Gaetz' beef with him was over his reluctance to bury this investigation for him. Maybe she just doesn't think anyone else will remember what we've all seen and take her standard Trump-like deflection as some kind of fact. But number two, if this was just now released, and if it were all true, is she saying that she's okay with a guy involved in multiple instances of statutory rape being the Attorney General just because the information just came out? Why should the timing eliminate the behavior? So while Luna is trying to poke holes in a few senators' arguments for evidence, Marjorie Taylor Greene is out for complete and utter exposure in defense of her buddy Matt. For my Republican colleagues in the House and Senate, if we're going to release ethics reports and rip apart our own that Trump has appointed, then put it all out there for the American people to see. Yes, all the ethics reports and claims, including the one I filed. All your sexual harassment and assault claims that were secretly settled paying off victims with taxpayer money. The entire Jeffrey Epstein files, tapes, recordings, witness interviews. But not just those, there's more. Epstein isn't the only asset. If we're gonna dance, let's all dance in the sunlight. I'll make sure we do. I think she thinks that's something opponents of Matt Gaetz' nomination don't want to see, just because both Democrats and Republicans engage in disgusting behavior that she's apparently privy to. They seem to be so used to the corruption and grime that exists, she forgets that her buddies will be on blast too. So when is she going to get started with these release of these reports? They really don't recognize how far down to the gutter they've taken the party while also trying to hang on to this illusion of morality and character.
Remember, let me just say this. I remember, you and I are old enough to remember when Bill Clinton had two attorney general nominees, Zoe Baird and Kimba Wood, who were eliminated, who had to withdraw because they had employed illegal nannies. Matt Gaetz is accused of sleeping with a girl who's almost young enough to need a nanny. And Republicans are saying there's nothing to see here.